honesty and a huge belief that yes, these films are needed and they are definitely um, they need to be made. So that was one journey. The sec Yes. Now, then I made another film on auto writing, and that was a very beautiful experience because from somewhere in US, a friend of mine called and she said, "Would you like to submit a film for a spiritual film festival?" I said, "I don't have any film yet." So she says, "Then make one because we have 1 year." So then I started thinking about it. At that point in time, a book called Sound of Silence fell into my lap. And I had no clue where it came from, who is this person called Nan Umrigar, nothing. Anyway, I read that book and I finished it in 2 hours. And I started searching for the author. And because it was self-published book, there was no address, no publisher, nothing, just the self-published. The author had published it herself. It was her first book. Anyway, then I for a conference, I went to Greece. And I made my presentation and I was sitting and I was not happy with the presentation and I was having my lunch. And this woman walked in and she asked me if she could sit with me. I said, yeah, we had lunch together. And she said, don't be unhappy. And she put out a card from her purse and gave it to me. And it said, don't worry, be happy. And it was Meher Baba. And Meher Baba was the key catalyst in the book called Sound of Silence. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a lovely book. So I just knew, and I immediately asked her, "Do you know Nan Umrigar?" And Nan Umrigar was the author of that book. She said, "Of course, she lives in Pune." And she said, "I'll go back and I'll send you the details." I came to Mumbai, and before I knew, the mail was there with the address. I called up Nan, and I said, "Whenever you come to Mumbai next, please give me a call." She says, "I just arrived." And we met that very day for lunch. And she gave me the whole story. And I said, "Would you mind if I make a film on you?" She says, "Please go ahead." And then she said, "You will have to get permission from the trust, the Meher Baba Trust, which is in Mehrabad, which is ahead of Pune a little bit." So I said, "Okay." She says, "It might be a little difficult because you have to go through protocol, but we'll see." I said, "Okay." She wrote an email to them. And before we knew it, I had blanket permission to shoot anywhere. I was not even a follower of Meher Baba. I did not even know who he was. I just knew from the book that he existed. Anyway, so so I said, "Okay, I'll come." So I spoke to this entity. "Okay, whoever you are, if you're calling me, I'm coming." So I boarded a bus, and it was as if I had made a business agenda in my head that I'm going to come, I'm going to get a message from you, and I'm going to come back next day. But obviously, you can't make an agenda with God, right? So I said, "Okay, this is not to be." So the bus broke down on the way. It was hot. I was standing in hot sun in the middle of the road. I had a migraine and I was cursing him. I was cursing him. And I reached Mehrabad and I obviously couldn't go to the Samadhi. Samadhi is the place where he's buried. So I couldn't go to the Samadhi. So I sat in my room and I said, "Okay, I will go when I feel better." I didn't feel better that day. So next morning, I woke up early and I asked everybody how to go up to the Samadhi. I went up and I kept telling him, I said, "You have to give me a message now. You wasted 1 day already." So anyway, I went and I stood in the line. Everybody was praying and I had no idea how to conduct myself in a Samadhi. So I sat there like everybody else. And while I was sitting, somebody came from behind and patted on my back. And she was an old woman. So she said, she asked me, "Are you Mahima?" I said, "Yes." And I had no clue because I'd never been to that place ever before. So I said, "Yeah." She says, "Somebody, when you're done, come outside. Somebody is waiting for you." I said, "Okay." So I finished and I came out, and there was this old man standing there without asking me anything, without telling me who he was. He just embraced me. He just hugged me and he said, "I was watching you sitting there, and I know you're an old soul and you're here to take Baba's message across the world." And I had no clue. I burst into tears. I fell on the ground and I had no clue. I just said, "Thank you. Thank you for giving me the message." And that's how the film came about. It's called Whispers of the Divine. And the film came about, and during the making of that film, something shifted because every film I made taught me so much. It was as if God was telling me, we are showing you the learnings, we are giving you the learnings. Keep reinventing yourself, keep rediscovering yourself, and that film really reinvented me. Why? Because I understood the art of surrender. Because during the making of that film, there was no way that it was my call. Not even once did I feel I was directing the shots or I was calling the shots. Not even once. There were times when I would make a plan that, okay, good sun outside, good light, this is what we'll do, and something would happen and everything will come crashing down. I couldn't do it. And some other days, magic moments happened. It was not in my control. So it was total. I understood the art of surrender. And that was my biggest learning. Biggest learning. So then that film happened. And then another film happened. Then, uh, I don't want to go chronologically, but I'll tell you exactly what are the key elements in during my story. And then obviously, I left my husband. And the strange part was that in our country, the husband gives alimony to the wife. But because I wanted to walk out of this marriage and I wanted to do a cordial breakup, so I explained to him that it's all right, you can bank on me. He wasn't doing anything, he didn't have any savings. I said, you can bank on me, we'd be friends. I'm a phone call away, but we cannot live under the same roof. And he, in very dignified way, he went away and I paid him alimony and I took care of him. So it was like a clean breakup, but I was clean slate after that. I had no money on me. I said I'm going to restart, and I put my son in a boarding. Sold everything I had, all my jewelry which my mother had given me, and I educated him in a boarding school. So that was one part. Then, okay. So after that, I got into a relationship, and that relationship was very fulfilling in the start, very fulfilling. But um, he was on drugs. So there was a lot of chemical reaction which was happening um, in him, which were like ups and downs, serious ups and downs. So after 2 years, I had to break away from that relationship as well. But when I broke away, I started getting visions that I need to go and take a dip in the Ganga 3 times. I kept seeing that vision. And I didn't know how that would happen because I was so broken and I really didn't know who to go with. And suddenly I get a call from a friend of mine saying that a friend of hers is coming from South India who wants to go to Rudraprayag, which is further ahead of Rishikesh on the banks of Ganga, and would you help in getting him a ticket? I said, sure. So I booked a ticket for him. And he was flying into Delhi in the morning and his train was at night. So I called him and as courtesy and I said, why don't you come have lunch here with me? Because what would you do sitting at the station all day? He came home and before you know it, he said, I'll be there. I'll wait for you at Rishikesh. Come. And then he went. So he said, when I come back from Rudraprayag, I'll give you a call. I said, okay. So he gave me a call the next day and he said, I'm waiting for you at Rishikesh. Hop into a bus now. And there I was with my backpack. I told my son I'm going, and I was in Rishikesh. And whatever I saw as my vision happened. He held my hand, he went inside the Ganga, and he helped me go it down 3 times. And that was the biggest healing for me because I sat there and I looked at Ganga and I said, just completely embrace me in your largeness, in your vastness. Just embrace me and bring me here for as long as you want and over again. And lo and behold, I went there 2 times after that to make 2 films. I made one film on this beautiful woman from States, an American woman, from a scientist from Stanford University who came to Rishikesh. She dipped her feet in the Ganga for the first time and she knew she had come home. So I made a film, and she has been here for 15 years, and she's a sadhu. She's a say she has taken on. She's an ascetic. Then I made another film in the Ganga, much above Rishikesh, on this English woman she was born Catholic, who was not getting her answers in Christianity, who was not getting her answers from from the church everywhere she was taken every Sunday. So she said, I need to look further. I need to find my truth. So she came traveling to India 48 years ago, and she never went back. And she's an ascetic again. So I went back. So Ganga called me again and again to make a film by her side so that I could heal and I could rediscover myself every time I went there. So, another thing which is very, very important while we are growing up and what really carves us is the belief system we have. So, that kind of makes us, designs us. So, my belief system is Hinduism. So, we were made to pray in front of deities, and there was Diwali, and there was, so you pray to Lakshmi, to Saraswati, to Shiva, to Ganpati, and all that. So, we spent our entire childhood doing that. And so my mother had a huge temple in the house, a big temple where she would do ritually all those things. But over the years, I was working very hard in transcending the form. I didn't want to just close my eyes and pray to a form. I wanted to I wanted to pray to the all, to the Almighty, to the full energy, to the full uh, divinity, not just one form. And I didn't know how to get there. So of course my films taught me, but I didn't know how to get there. And obviously I had to learn that lesson. So my parents were ailing, they were in Delhi. So I was in Mumbai, I decided to quit work and come here and take care of them. So I spent 3 years with them. 1 year with my mother, and then she passed away. And then I had to move into my parents' house to look after my dad, who was bedridden. So and then there was this big temple. And I would pass that big temple every day to go to my dad's room. And I would feel so guilty that I just couldn't bring myself to pray, to sit there and do the rituals because it just didn't come from my heart. I didn't know what to do with it. Yet I knew that they were getting neglected. But what do? I can't bring myself to doing it. So it was like a battle. And for 6 months, I fought that battle. And I didn't know what to do. I prayed, I meditated. I said, okay, show me the way. Show me the way. How do I get out of this guilt? And what do I do? So one day I said, okay, I'm going to give them a very honorable departure. So I spoke to some people and I said, okay, would you be happy to have the deities in your temple? And then their family friends, they, uh, their, one of the persons who works in their house, he has a temple in his village, which is a proper temple. So I told him, I said, would you like to take the deities to that temple? He said, yeah. So I came back home.